Hi everyone and welcome back. Thanks for joining us again. Today we've got a story that left me shaken in a way I never expected. My name's Calvin, and what I'm about to share isn't just a story. It's something that changed how I see myself, my relationship, and everything I thought I understood about love. Recently, I experienced something so humiliating, so surreal, that I couldn't keep it bottled up. It happened at a party. One that was thrown in my honor by the woman I thought I was going to marry. What she said in front of everyone in that moment stripped away every illusion I had about our relationship. It wasn't just embarrassing. It was eye-opening. One sentence, just a single sentence, shattered the denial I'd been living in for far too long. But before I tell you what she said, I need to walk you through how things got to that point. Because looking back now, I see all the red flags I ignored. The signs were there. I just didn't want to face them. I've always been more on the quiet side, the type of guy who thinks before he speaks, who listens more than he talks. Juliana, my girlfriend, is the complete opposite. From the day we met, she was this whirlwind of energy. Fast-talking, loud-laughing, always the center of attention. People gravitated to her like moths to a flame. And I'll admit it, I was one of them. We'd been together for 5 years. Living together for 3. And in the beginning, I thought our differences balanced each other. I was the calm to her storm, and she pushed me out of my shell in ways no one else ever had. It worked for a while. But over time, I started to feel like we weren't growing together anymore. We were just existing in parallel. Marriage had been on my mind a lot. So much so, I had already bought the ring. It wasn't impulsive, I took my time, made sure it felt right. But right around the time I made that decision, Juliana started changing. She pulled away, not just physically but emotionally too. I'd reach for her hand and she'd flinch. Try to kiss her and she'd turn her face. At first, I told myself she was stressed. Maybe work was taking a toll. I tried to be patient, to give her space. But days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. And no matter how gentle or considerate I was, she kept creating distance. I started to question everything. Was I not enough? Was I imagining this disconnection? Or worse, was she falling for someone else? Then came the night that changed everything. We attended an event, a party thrown by one of her friends. I figured it could be a fun way for us to reconnect. But from the moment we arrived, something felt off. She was drinking more than usual, flitting from group to group like she was untethered. I stood back and watched, unsure of where I fit in this version of her life. Then it got worse. She started flirting with a male server. Then she hit the dance floor, not just dancing but grinding on random guys like I wasn't even there. I felt humiliated. Everyone could see it. But I didn't want to cause a scene. I just quietly pulled out my phone and started recording. Not to hurt her, but because I needed to validate to myself that I wasn't imagining things, that this was really happening. When I finally walked up to her and guided her out, she just laughed like it was all a joke. She was tipsy, carefree. Meanwhile, I was dying inside. The next morning, I waited until she was sober, made her coffee, set her down, told her how much it hurt me, what she did, how it made me feel invisible. She looked me in the eye and said she didn't remember a thing. She shrugged it off like I was being dramatic. So I showed her the video. I thought it would help her understand. I wasn't expecting a perfect apology, just a little accountability. Instead, she turned it on me. She accused me of betrayal. Said filming her was manipulative. Said I used her vulnerable state against her. That a real man would have protected her instead of spying on her. I was stunned. She twisted everything, so convincingly that I started to doubt myself. I almost walked away that day. But love is a complicated thing. I stayed. Things didn't improve. We lived together but barely spoke. We slept in the same bed, but there was a cold space between us. Her phone, once left out and unlocked, now never left her side. She became more secretive, more distant. Nights out became common. Excuses vague. She'd come home late, sometimes past midnight, and I stopped asking why. I didn't have the emotional strength anymore. Then, out of the blue, she came home early one night. Said she wanted to talk. apologized, claimed the party opened her eyes, said she wanted to do better. I wanted to believe her. 5 years together. It had to mean something. I gave her the benefit of the doubt. But the unease never left me, especially when I remembered what happened at that party. Not just the flirting or the dancing, but a moment that burned into my brain. She walked up to one of my close friends, a guy she always claimed to dislike, and openly flirted with him. Right in front of me. I had to physically step in between them. I thought she was just drunk and trying to make me jealous. But now I wasn't so sure. Was something going on? I tried checking her phone a couple times. Never got past the lock screen. Eventually I gave up. I was exhausted, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Then came my birthday. I didn't expect anything. We were barely a couple anymore. But when I came home from work, the apartment was packed. Balloons, banners, food, drinks, music. People shouting surprise. From every corner. Juliana was at the center of it all, smiling like she just saved our relationship. For a moment I thought maybe she meant it. Maybe she was trying. But I should have trusted my gut. She grabbed a mic and began to make a speech. It started off sweet. How proud she was of me, how far we'd come. Then, laughing slightly, she said something that made the entire room fall silent. She looked me in the eyes and said, "Lately, I've been feeling like you're more of a brother to me than a boyfriend." Some people chuckled nervously. I stood there frozen, trying to process what I just heard. Then she kept going. "I wish you were my brother. Life with you is so easy. Stable. Comfortable. Just not exciting." I didn't say a word. I put down my drink, turned around and walked out the door. Because in that moment I finally understood. I was just a placeholder in her life. Something convenient, predictable, but not loved. I couldn't go home that night. I booked a hotel, turned off my phone, and sat in silence. The next day, the texts and calls flooded in. Her tone changed from panicked to defensive to apologetic. But I didn't respond. Eventually I went home. She pretended nothing happened. Asked, "Why'd you leave? What happened?" I looked her in the eyes and said, "I accept. I'll be your brother, like you wanted." She froze, confused, denied saying it. But I remembered every word. And this time I wasn't going to pretend I didn't.